Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Eric Idle's had it with comedians claiming they're canceled. He brought up a good point about Dave Chappelle. Eric Idle was on Kara Swisher's podcast, and she asked him, what do you think of comedians like Dave Chappelle saying he's subjected to censorship? Eric Idle said, where did he say that? On SNL. Well, you're not being that much canceled, are you? If you're in your room complaining, I'd have a lot more sympathy. That was the same interview in which Eric Idle gave Bill Maher a little bit of the business. So Kara Swisher asked, are there any comedians you do like? Idle said, my best friend, was Robin Williams. I really haven't recovered from that. He was just so wonderful, and you had to know him an awfully long time before he stopped being funny. I did watch Trevor Noah's special. It's called I Wish You Would. It's on Netflix. I liked it a lot. Trevor is just so likable. He's so charismatic, and he does a great job painting stories with voices. His voice works incredible. He does a really good Trump. He does a pretty good Obama. He does the worst John F. Kennedy I've ever heard. But in his closer that I won't spoil, he breaks out several impressions, one of which really reminded me of Simon Pegg. Really fantastic. And his middle section about the pandemic, very, very fresh take on that. Enjoyed this special a lot. So I haven't actually done the work and put this in my end-of-year rankings. Let me look here at my end-of-year rankings and see where it would go. So starting from the top, I have Carlin, Sheng Wang special. I really liked. Hassan's was good. Andrew Schultz, which I said would be higher if not for the commercials, then Sam Morril, then Norm Macdonald. That's My Time with David Letterman, Eliza Schlesinger. Okay, it's definitely better than Eliza. I'm not sure it's better than Norm. All right, let's slot this in after Letterman. Typing as I talk. So that would put Trevor Noah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as the 9th best thing on my end of the year funny list. And if we only include stand-up specials, it would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th best special of the year. Once we get closer to Christmas, I will do my end-of-year list. There are many comedy specials this month. We've got Ryan Posehn, Tom Papa, Sebastian Maniscalco coming up. Chelsea Handler's got one December 27th. Tom Papa's December 13th. Sebastian is December 6th. Brian Posehn's is December 8th. So there's some pretty big stuff coming up. So I'm sure the end-of-the-year list will continue to tweak. But Trevor Noah special, absolutely, you should watch it. A website called Preply broke apart some podcasts to see what the most common words were. On the Joe Rogan Experience, the most common words said on that podcast are exactly, wow, listen, imagine, crazy, and bro. Which I could see Joe Rogan using in one sentence, right? Exactly, wow, listen, imagine, crazy, bro. Johnny Mac, you never talk about Jerry Seinfeld and coffee. I know, right? Jerry's been out plugging the book Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, the book, and he revisited a story. I've told the story on the podcast before, but it might be new to you. Originally, he wanted Starbucks to sponsor the podcast. Jerry took the idea to the CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. Jerry said Howard told him, I don't see how this is right for us. Jerry said, well, maybe another major comedian will have a show with the word coffee in the title very soon that you will like. A little catty there, Jer. Jerry said he was most nervous for his chat with President Obama in season 7. Jerry said, I didn't want to waste his time for obvious reasons. I was very appreciative that they even let me do that he was willing to do that. It's not like sitting with Jamie Foxx. It's a very different energy. Seinfeld said Obama surprised him, that he wanted to do it, that he was comfortable doing it, that he enjoyed doing it. There's not too many cool presidents. I don't think I could have a conversation with most presidents or would even want to. The Hollywood Reporter put out a list of their top celebrity entrepreneurs. The Hollywood Reporter's Celebrity Entrepreneur of the Year is Kevin Hart. Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, how many times on this pod do I tell you Kevin Hart started a new business? In the fitness sector, he's part of Hydro Rowing Machines. He's an investor and creative director. He's also part of Fabletics. Kevin said, the success around Fabletics, it's attached to my success because I not only love the product, I believe the world is going to love the product. So having Fabletics on every day, all day, it's not a chore, it's a must. In May, Kevin Hart put out a tequila, because why not? And in August, he opened Hart House, his plant-based fast food chain. Kevin switched to a flexitarian diet, mostly plants, some chicken. I apparently am on a flexitarian diet. I eat to go to a expensive salad place every day. Maybe I'll make that a new bit and buymeacoffee.com. You can buy me a salad. I do eat some chicken, and M&Ms is part of my flexitarian diet. The ever so serious Hari Kondabolu spoke to WABE about crafting the elusive, perfect stage bit. Hari said, sometimes you get super lucky and you get lightning in a bottle and you say something on stage and the words come out and they pour out and it's perfect. It's a little bit of genius that somehow came out of your mouth. Most times, it's a thought that leads to other thoughts, that leads to more writing, that leads to going on stage and repeatedly bombing until you figure out the right combination of ideas, the right combination of words, the right combination of sentences until you have something that works on stage. I don't throw anything away. I have every notebook pretty much that I've written in since I was 17 years old, and every now and then I'll go through old books from a decade ago and I find a thought that I wasn't really ready to dive into at that age. It was like a thought, but I didn't have enough life experience. I'll dig into it now and I get somewhere that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about comedy. It looks really fluid, but it's actually, for most of us, a really painstaking process and a great deal of thought. From the Free Press, star comedian Mike Epps is set to launch a multi-purpose entertainment and dining establishment in downtown Detroit. One Mike, a comedy and music club, will open at 1331 Broadway Street in Detroit. Whether you seek big laughs, spoken word, gospel, jazz, or cool rhythm and blues, One Mike will have everything you need. One Mike apparently will also have a fresh, delectable dining experience. The Traverse City Comedy Festival is coming up in February. They announced a couple more things. Tom Pop is there February 2nd. That same night, Eastmo and Dean Edwards, Maria Bamford, Eastmo, and Jackie Cation are on one show on Friday the 3rd. On the 4th, you get Maria Bamford and Jackie Cation, but no Eastmo, because he's got his own show. So you should go to the Friday show. You get a better value, no? Yes? Yes. The Traverse City Comedy Festival will feature a mix of stand-up performances, improv, podcast tapings, and specialty shows. More than 40 comedians will appear in over 20 shows over the 3-day festival. So if your wife asks you why you're on OnlyFans all the time, obviously you're doing research for your comedy podcast. OnlyFans launched a comedy creative fund with a £150,000 prize fund. This story from Chortle. To win this thing, it was not a straightforward stand-up competition, but contained some reality TV-style elements. You had to write sets for each other. You had to vote each other off. You had to write the most depraved material you could think of. And when they did that, they didn't know they'd have to perform to an audience of pensioners. This is fun. The final was in East London's Hoxton Hall. Say that 4 times fast. I said it twice and had to edit the first one out. The final was a more straightforward affair, Chortle says, although it takes a lot of getting used to host Jack Guinness, the well-connected model turned fashionista turned founder of the Queer Bible website, asking the audience to welcome the next creator to the stage, never comedian. We're also never told their surnames, which seems a fatal flaw if you're trying to launch someone's career. And most weirdly and anticlimactic, they got rid of the audience before the judges made any decision about a winner. That name will be revealed when the show goes out on OnlyFans' OFTV platform early next year, which is a long time for one of the acts to keep a 6-figure secret, writes Chortle, and I agree. Chortle took a look at the act, so when you're on OnlyFans, you don't have to spend time in the comedy section. You can do what you normally do on there, whatever that is. I'm not judging. Dominic McGovern leans into the surprise I'm gay shtick, though his campness ensures no one is shocked. He's not someone who'd say he's into exercise, for example, when he can say, a slut for yoga. There's a few good lines about dating a doctor, but the Catholic fetishization of a buff Jesus is a much-mined topic which he does not take forward. Maddie H.W. is another high-impact performer, the sort of woman who seems like she's always on. Much of her set revolves around how she'd make jokes during sex, much to the chagrin of her girlfriend. Zoe Brownstone opens with a strong volley of short, strong, and often quite harsh jokes. She'll slag off the Dutch as trash, and she uses her Jewish background to get away with some Anne Frank quips. She takes her foot off the gas a bit when talking about smoking dope, while her body image issue leads her into talking about her lazy nipple in a section that's less gag-driven but conjures up some amusing images thanks to her savvy phraseology. Hassan Al-Habib has a tight set based around the everyday racism he's encountered. Joe Bingham was the lowest impact comedian of the night. Many of his wry and self-depreciating stories had a long drop to the punchline, though he's charming enough to keep the audience engaged with tales of being brought up by a single mom, noting how the East End had changed from its gangster past and picking playlists for sex. Mary O'Connell wowed the crowd with her mix of dismissive, what is this BS attitude, relatable observational comedy about the minutiae of office life and the dating scene, and a judicious use of the race card when it suits her. So that's the OnlyFans comedy contest, and that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, audio version on YouTube. See you here tomorrow.